Hi and welcome to my channel. This is Virginia and today we're going to go over the Sagittarius new moon on December 19 and the winter solstice on the 21st. So let us begin. The new moon is at 8:51 p.m. Eastern Time and point to new beginnings in the Sagittarius part of your chart, and I will go over sign by sign at the end of the video. And this has a span of about 6 months. Sagittarius is mutable and is fire, which means it assists with change, and especially with that sets a fire under us, which involves enthusiasm and inspiration. Inspiration starts for in spirit, and enthusiasm for in theos, in God. And that's how we raise the bar. Sagittarius is a sign of expansion and freedom, is the arrow that aims high. And I have never shot an arrow, but if you ever had done any shooting, you know that you always have to aim slightly higher than your targets as gravity weights in. So this is an expansion that inspires you to raise the bar. But the shadow side of Sagittarius is overconfidence and excess, that which is too much. So it sounds a little like a paradox, but the idea is eternal growth, and yet one step at a time. The archetype is the philosopher. Sagittarius rules the 9th house of higher education, teaching, long-distance travel, truth, wisdom, adventure, faith, vision, publishing, inspiration. And when the sun is in Sagittarius, the earth is in its opposite sign of Gemini from the sun or helio perspective. And Gemini rules learning and communication. So when a lunation is on the later degrees of the signs, as we've been having recently, is a double whammy of energy, as this new moon is also in Sagittarius from the sidereal or Vedic point of view. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the so-called great benefic and larger-than-life planet that magnifies everything it touches, anywhere from your bank accounts, if you put your mind to it, to your waistlines if you kick back and let it expand without your efforts. So this is great for the non-lazy person. This lunation falls on the third decan or third, which is also mutable and is ruled by the sun, allowing us to shine through the changes ahead. The symbol of Jupiter is that of a crescent moon, implying imagination, intuition, and is generating the cross of matter and reality in this physical world, as above, so below. So this is intuition leading to structure as a way of manifestation. The new moon is at 28 degrees with 24 minutes, as is in a quincunx with Uranus, the planet of liberation, and is conjunct the midpoint of the cosmic lovers, Mars and Venus, separating from Venus and applying to Mars, which is also in the superior position. So there's both love and aggression, but the sun is also parallel to Mars, which makes Mars trump Venus. So this is an aspect that kills with kindness. It's good to take the higher road. And there's a stellium in Sagittarius with Mercury there too, intensifying the energy of truth, mysticism, and revelations. But Mercury is still in shadow and afflicted in Sagittarius and conjunct Black Moon Lilith. So Mercury struggles to bring the facts to light while is lost in the belief systems. Now, one of the most important aspects of this new moon is that it is in a tense square with Saturn and Neptune, especially with Neptune, which is a signature of a reality check. And Neptune being at the 29th critical degree and in rulership, Neptune deals with our dreams, but we might need a foundation, and that's when Saturn kicks in, challenging us to come to the realization. The new moon is also in a trine with Chiron at 22 degrees, and this is a very healing energy, but 22 is a degree of collapse. So this comes at a cost of something, is a breakdown that leads to a breakthrough. And Mercury is at the bendings of the nodes of fate. This reminds us of the recent full moon in Gemini, which was ruled by Mercury, that was in a similar position and at the midpoints of the eclipses where some information might reveal the challenges ahead. Now Jupiter, the ruler of this new moon, is exalted but retrograde also at the 22 degrees of collapse, demolishing that which holds us back, and in a quincunx with Venus and in a trine with Saturn, helping us rebuild the structures that we need to pursue that which we want. While in the background we still have Uranus retrograding in Taurus, bringing disruptions to our way of life, Jupiter still in a square with Chiron, bringing insecurity, and the outer planets in a mini trine with Neptune at the apex, leading both with idealism and confusion, but ultimately dissolving that which no longer works. And 2 days later, the winter solstice, being the longest night of the year and ushering the sun at 0 degree Capricorn on the 21st at 10:03 a.m. Eastern Time, sets a reset point which overlaps with the new moon energy for about 3 months. The sun in Capricorn, and now with the stellium in Capricorn with both the moon and Mars, we are in work mode. Now, the moon is afflicted here because she might rather stay at home, especially for the holidays. But Mars is exalted and ready to roll up its sleeves for the work ahead. And the moon disposits the great benefic Jupiter in her home sign, and yet it opposes her, bringing struggle between indulgence and self-discipline. As I mentioned before, this is not for the lazy one. Venus, dispositing Uranus and yet in a quincunx, rocks the boat of stability in pursuit of our dreams. And Chiron in a T-square with the moon and Jupiter is challenging us to leave our wounds behind in order to move on, because there's so much weight that you can carry. And with both the moon and Mars in a trine with the south node, we're making peace with the past. As they say, it was a lesson, not a sentence. And Saturn, the ruler of the solstice, is helping us with discipline, planning, and schedules to rebuild a foundation and support those higher dreams and goals. Now, both the moon and Mars are out of bounds, as well as Black Moon Lilith, so they're like out of control. The moon representing our mood, Mars representing our actions, and Black Moon Lilith representing our shadows. So be aware of acting on impulse. Try to pass everything through your frontal cortex. The overall score for this new moon is +4, so it's overall positive, and the leading planet is Jupiter, which rules the new moon, bringing blessings, but Mercury is left behind where things get lost in translation, and please don't kill the messenger. Now, the new moon conjuncts the asteroid Hecate, inviting us to listen to your inner wisdom, to know which path to choose, helping you with magic, medicine, and transformation, like the alchemist, the alchemical path. And the new moon is also conjunct Asteria, the asteroid of trusting that intuition, and usher hidden knowledge stored in your subconscious mind that is needed for guidance, so pay attention to the signs. Now, for the US, this new moon happens in the first house of the country's identity, is also the house of confrontation. Now, Venus, the planet of diplomacy, is invisible and hidden under the beams of the sun, so it's working behind the scenes. Mars, also in the first house, but now in Capricorn, the sign of the second house of money, is a warrior fighting for the currency hegemony that is now being challenged by the BRIC countries. Venus, being superior to Mars here, offers strategic diplomacy, and Jupiter conjunct the US Mercury in the 8th house of finances magnifies information regarding hidden things and issues in the markets. Jupiter, exalted but retrograde until spring next year, benefits the domestic products and yet challenges finances. Saturn, the planet of structures, and Neptune, the planet of dissolution, in Pisces in the 3rd house of the US, there is a fight to dissolve pre-existing structures related to government. This brings reality checks in the 3rd house of communications, challenging narratives, and illuminate issues with neighboring countries, like ships surrounding Venezuela in the name of drugs. Saturn rules ships, Neptune rules water, drugs, but also oil and gas, and Venezuela has 60% of the world's oil, and the narrative is gaslighting us. And Uranus continues to be in retrograde in Taurus in the 6th house, affecting the economy, the job market, and the service industry, and the healthcare system, especially with the South Node in Virgo. And we have an ongoing thread with AI replacing jobs, possible disruptions in the grid, fear of quantum computing hacks, and crypto rug pulls. All while Chiron in Aries in the 4th house of homeland brings battle with the illegal immigration and ICE. And in the background, we are between the recent Pluto and Chiron returns and approaching Uranus return of the US, recuperating from a Neptune opposition and heading for a Saturn opposition in the next couple of years. So the US is going through major transformations that are not overnight, and we're in the midst of it, trying to avoid a civil war. So the more impartial you are, the less you contribute to the divide that is by design. The new moon is at 28 degrees, which is a Cancer degree, protective, feminine, and intuitive, and the net number is 1, which is the number of the sun, representing our soul. And the 24 minutes net number is 6, which is a Venus degree, which rules beauty and harmony. For the Sabian symbol, we round up to 29 degrees Sagittarius, which is another anaretic critical degree, and is represented by an old bridge over a beautiful stream. This points to a time of building bridges between the old and the new, the inner and the outer, a capacity to connect past and future, logic and feelings, and different points of view, beliefs, and social disparities. Is a moment to appreciate the endurance of structures, long-term standing relationships, traditions, and commitments that help you get across the abyss. There's a chance to stabilize and integrate the experiences of a journey to complete a transformation to make something permanent and long-lasting. This new moon corresponds to the 10th of Wands, also called the Lord of Oppression. This symbolizes the burden and responsibilities that overwhelm us and the struggle to deal with obligations and the need to push through them, not to burn out, but to burn through to the other side. 3 supporting herbs that are ruled by Sagittarius, and by the way, Sagittarius rules the hips and the thighs, so basically the limbs that help us propel forward. Now the 3 herbs are sage, which promotes clarity, wisdom, and spiritual expansion, clove that enhances courage and adventurous spirit, and juniper berry that helps us stay grounded while exploring. And for the 3 crystals associated with Sagittarius, we have turquoise that supports travel, adventure, and balance optimism, so not overdoing it. Amethyst that promotes clarity of thoughts, intuition, and knowledge. And lapis lazuli that encourages true integrity and philosophical thinking. This new moon is going to affect more Sagittarius because it's in your sign, and other mutable signs like Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces because it either squares you or opposes you. And it's going to be easier on the other fire signs like Leo and Aries because it trines you. For Aries, this falls in your 9th house of higher education, foreign affairs, belief systems, and expansion in general. So however you want to expand, this is your green light. For Taurus, this falls in your 8th house of other people's money, shared resources, trust, and intimacy. Usually these are shared resources with your partner or significant other, but it can be a business partner or anywhere where shared resources are involved. And that can be loans, banks, inheritance, insurance claims, taxes, you name it. For Gemini, this falls in your 7th house of partnerships and significant others, legal matters, and even public enemies. So this is others in general, but it portrays mostly to your spouse or significant other. But it's also significant others not only in the love department, but in the business department. And that's why it's also public enemies or anybody that you're having some legal issues with. From Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this falls in your 6th house of work and routine, health, service, and pets, and service pets. So basically anywhere from your daily life, your daily routine, the way you provide service to the world, the way you work, and your pets. For Leo, this falls in your 5th house of joy and fun, is the house of creativity, recreation, and procreation. So anywhere from dating, dealing with children, or having children, or any creative project that you're involved in. For Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this falls in your 4th house of home, family, roots, real estate, and your private life. So basically, this is about your home life and your living situation, either with your family, roommates, with a rental, with a property that you own or that you want to sell, or maybe make a renovation. For Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this falls in your 3rd house of communication, writing, learning, commuting, and peers. So this is all about the way you express yourself to others. For Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this falls in your 2nd house of money, values, self-worth, and possessions. Anywhere from reassessing your value systems to a new income or a new sense of self-worth. For Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this falls in your 1st house of self, your identity, and the way you look. So this new moon is all about you and reinventing yourself. For Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this falls in your 12th house of spirituality, mental health, and self-undoing or self-sabotage. This is also the house of institutions. This is where I tell people the more you go to church, the less you go to the hospital. For Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this falls in your 11th house of groups and association, friends, social gatherings, networking, and even money that comes from your career. So all new beginnings associated with that are favored. And finally, for Pisces, this falls in your 10th house of career and reputation, anywhere from a new job or a promotion or maybe a new industry. And with that, I will leave you today. It takes me a while to make these videos and just a second to like, and it's a good karma and it makes a difference. Thank you for your time. I hope this helps, but the best way I can help you is with a private reading or with a customized book. And this is a book about you. Here will go your name, your natal chart, the table of contents, an introduction, my bio, your natal chart, your numerology, then your lunar progressions, and then we have horoscope for a whole year. Other offers of my readings, my contact information, and that's it, folks. Contact me for your copy.